You're in a museum. In one room, you admire an exquisitely rendered painting of a lush garden by Spanish artist Santiago Rusiñol. In another, you encounter one of the most famous paintings in the world, a monumental work by Picasso that bowls you over with its dynamic composition of abstracted but still recognizable figures and forms, telling you of the horrors of the 1937 bombing of the village of Guernica during the Spanish Civil War. And in another room, you come across something completely different, a picture of a chair, and a blown-up dictionary definition of a chair by Toledo, Ohio-born artist Joseph Kosuth. What the actual... Can we really call this art? This thing that is entirely unlike those other things in the rooms before it, that exhibits no technical skill and transports you to nowhere but right where you are, in an empty feeling slightly chilly gallery? How can this be art? And what am I supposed to do with it? This is the case for conceptual art. In 1967, artist Saul Lewitt explained it like this: in conceptual art, the idea or concept is the most important aspect of the work. It means that all the planning and decisions are made beforehand, and the execution is a perfunctory affair. The idea becomes the machine that makes the art. For Lewitt, this often meant creating specific instructions and diagrams for large-scale wall drawings that could be carried out by others. Even after Lewitt's death, a draftsperson, or many of them, can make the drawing happen, as long as the instructions and certificate of authenticity are on hand. The resulting works can be magnificent, but it's not the individual touch of the artist that makes them so. It's the idea, supported by proper execution. Sometimes people were the machines that made the art. Like for a 1969 piece, Vito Acconci challenged himself to follow randomly selected passers-by until they entered a private space. He said of it, "I'm almost not an I anymore. I put myself in the service of this scheme." And sometimes it was actually machines that were the machines that made the art.
Lewitt is one of the key figures in minimal and conceptual art, which was an art that was involved with geometry, with ideas, with perception. The way that the mind and the eye and physical space interact?
Well, the idea part is simple, but the visual perception is complex. The same thing with some of the three-dimensional open cube pieces. If you make a drawing of each side, for instance, maybe a square, a grid, so that's orderly. But when it becomes three-dimensional, you look at it, it becomes chaos. And then you walk around it again, and you see it in different lines of sight. It becomes orderly again.
So in this piece, when you see it at first, it's almost indecipherable. It's a monumental piece. It fills this whole gallery, this whole room. But as you begin to look at it, you parse it out. You untangle the puzzle. And you begin to engage your own intellectual processes of problem solving.
I had been using open cubes. And this was actually a way of not making a cube. All the ways of the cube not being complete. So that was the basic idea. Working it out was another process.
The art comes from very simple, rational ideas, but he develops them into complex and playful forms. He wants you to engage with the same kind of process he was engaged with as he was making the work. So it's a dialogue that he welcomes the viewer to enter into.
And in this way, these ephemeral works are strangely more permanent for their never having much physicality to begin with. Marble crumbles, paintings fade, but ideas can last forever.